The world of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is shifting yet again with these returning challengers. Hi, Fiendsmith. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more content. This weekend's YCS really changed a lot of the opinions that people had on the metagame out here, as Fiendsmith really showed off the prowess of being a one-card engine package out here that was just able to decimate all of these crazy little things. And a lot of this had to do with Fiendsmith and Paradise getting to send a Desiree, and then Desiree getting the ability to kind of clean up some of these other options that the opponent might be doing. Also, Fiendsmith and Paradise basically giving his deck a free board wipe was kind of stupid as well, actually. It's not necessarily something I thought I would see out here. You know, Fiendsmith actually utilizing the other half of its card pool, really putting in a lot of work on players. I don't know why people are necessarily super shocked about that, but I do like the fact that we had this really cool showing for Fiendsmith. Also, you know, Lacrima going up in price. We had Requiems getting bought out over the course of the weekend. You have all of these eyes kind of turning to this engine right now, and what, you're backing it up with 20 plus hand traps right now. I know it's another thing that a lot of people weren't really happy about this weekend, was just the sheer amount of hand traps being played in decks like Fiendsmith, but it's a one-card engine deck. You know, at the core of the game, as we've seen in the last couple formats, if you can play a one-card engine and, you know, play a bunch of hand traps and then punish your opponent, and then you're able to play your one-card package, not really get punished for it, and have, like, maybe a follow-up or something, that's where you're going to get the maximized number of consistency for you. It's really quite impressive how the game has evolved on the scale of showing just what the Fiendsmith package and a large amount of hand traps actually is capable of doing. Now, on that same thought wave was the Kashtira deck that was also playing these Fiendsmith cards, because we have to talk about this as well. Kashtira cards are very much back in the game right now. You have a lot of consideration for what that package can actually do. Like, it's actually kind of disgusting looking at what Kashtira is able to do right now. I don't know why people just kind of forgot about mid-range control being this extremely crazy thing. All right, like, you've got to think about for a second out here that being able to Fenrir Unicorn, and actually I think the craziest part of this deck was actually Birth. Birth being able to control your opponent's graveyard for a not one, a not two, but 3 potential cards being banished out of it, and not only those cards being banished face down, is incredibly broken, man. I really am intrigued by how the Fiendsmith stuff, the Kashtira cards went so, they were just so under the radar for so long. You had a couple of instances of them, to them returning back to being one of the most powerful broken engines in modern era Yu-Gi-Oh history is crazy. But this once again shows that, you know, Fenrir and Unicorn being these going second powerhouse cards really needs to be considered as, you know, do we do something about these? I don't know. I'm still waiting on those Bonanza 2 QCR printings of Fenrir and so forth. But for what we have seen right now, everybody, I am really impressed with how Kashtira has held itself together on the mid-range control side of things, and just what this engine is able to do. Also, I mean, it is one card as well. So, one card sub-package? Yeah, who would have guessed that? Speaking of one-card packages, Orcust. Now, this, I think, is one of the coolest things to come out of the weekend out here, was Orcust smashing through everybody's expectations out here. You know, we don't have a Link 1 yet for Orcust. Rumor has it it's coming in the near future. But I digress. The TCG won't see that for another 4 to 5 months. If that Orcust came through out here and did so much cleanup, it was actually insane. Now, unfortunately, the deck, I think, lost top 8 out of its YCS, which is a little bit disappointing and a little bit disheartening, but to the Orcust players out here that love this deck, that love the idea that they are able to play these boards and control the opponents, was really good. Now, obviously, Orcust does function on one card combo, a little bit more so than other decks, but you have the Horus package as kind of like the sub-gas to get the deck going, and I can definitely tell you, watching that package go is kind of insane. Like, getting those two bodies on the field, getting the Mill 4 off of the Vampire, and then just getting the chance to build a board off of the RNG, like, I'm not going to say it's necessarily high risk versus high reward, but the Horus package definitely carries your resources in that build. So I am genuinely shocked by how much consistency Orcust had over the weekend, and I really am looking forward to seeing maybe more Orcust in the future. Maybe this was just one of those cases that, like, once the deck gets into Top Cut, it's able to grind through a lot of the meta contenders it had, because, if you don't have to worry about Snake Eyes or Fire King in a lot of your matchups, the rest of the meta just is like, hey, I just have to kind of beat Rogue right now. And when it's Rogue versus Rogue in the grind, it seems like it's a little bit freer of a matchup than it should be. Ritual Beast. Now this, I literally thought Ritual Beast was gone. Ritual Beast straight AFK'd out of this format, and we were like, all right, we're done. Protoss wasn't really enough to kind of keep up with the format, which was a little bit of a shame. But you kind of turn around right now and look around, you're like, no, Robbie, actually, things have kind of changed. Now Protoss is back to being an extremely good card, and now Dark Rule No More and Book of Eclipse, two of the biggest tech choices that this deck had going for it, are now back into the meta. You have these extremely strong cards that are here to help this deck board break things. I'm going to be honest with you, Dark Rule No More and Book of Eclipse are very, very strong cards. Now, we've seen Evenly Matched kind of take a little bit of a step out of this deck. I'm not going to say that it's necessarily bad to be playing Evenly Matched right now, but Evenly's, it's not really getting the value that you really want it to be getting. If you're looking at the value that this could potentially generate for you, yeah, it's fine. But why do that when I could maybe dedicate that extra slot to 3 Dark Ruler, 3 Book of Eclipse, and get that better defensive options or that better offensive capabilities? Because once my opponent sets up a board, I just Dark Ruler it. They're just like, okay, so what's Ritual Beast going to do? They're going to attack over your stuff because they make these large monsters. Now you have to find a way to kind of come back against a Ritual Beast board. And I hate to tell you this, but that's really, really hard to do sometimes, especially when that deck can grind so extremely well. It's actually kind of stupid how well we can see that deck actually progressively building some very, very dumb boards. All right, also putting a Colossus on the field at the end of whatever it's trying to do is so toxic. Like, man, I love not getting to play the game because of that. Spright. Oh, okay. So this had no real bearing on the YCS, actually. Over the last couple weeks, we've been seeing a lot of Spright action kind of returning back to the meta. And I think the reason for this is Spright just kind of does a lot of things. Like, Spright is able to set up some of the better boards that we've kind of seen in the meta, which I'm not all that surprised to be reporting and saying that, actually. Especially since you can play the Melfi cards to make a Herald. You can play the Adventure package in here. The Adventure package is going to give you that little level of protection, unless your opponent has Imperm plus Hand Trap. In that case, well, it's just one of those situations that your opponent's better than you. Imperming to force the negate and then holding your other hand trap to kind of clean up whatever else you're going to need to do. It happens. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! But Spright has had this pretty major just return back to the game. I don't know what it is, actually. Spright, I guess it's got to be the forms of the interruptions that you're getting off of Carrot and Red. Those would be the only real things I would be looking at out here, other than, the Adventure package is really good, and you're just putting up a wall of really, really strong, ignorant monsters to play the game, but that's all I've really got to report right now. We had some very strong meta challengers right now. Even though this meta is about to warp itself, maybe in not necessarily the best way possible, seeing these innovations near the end of this format's life have been really, really nice to see. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below and tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.